right thing to do, not because of his performance in the Super Bowl, but because Kyle Shanahan constantly undermined him. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Kyle Shanahan constantly undercut him all season, and therefore I felt like the players had zero faith in him because the players really trust Kyle Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan's judgment. And when they saw that he didn't trust Steve Wilks, all the stars decided that they were going to call the system and that they didn't need to have any faith in Steve Wilks. So I think that it was just there was a disconnect going on there. In hindsight, I don't think he should have ever been hired. I remember when they were choosing between Fangio and Steve Wilks, I was really happy that they went with Steve Wilks because Fangio's more known as like a like kind of like a gnarly, angry guy. When he was in Denver, who's the player? He's like he used to play for USC, but when he got hired at Miami, this guy who was a former player of his went on this whole thread about basically the hazing that he did to his team. What a nasty guy he was. That he was like forcing people to take what is it? Tortadol shots, that he was like really pushing people to play through injuries, just that he had a really hard time connecting with people. Um, and was just kind of more negative. And I think D'Amico Ryans and Robert Saleh were so positive, and they have so much energy, and they were kind of like the bright guys on the team, the bright guys with power. Where Kyle Shanahan is also more of a curmudgeon, maybe not like in a trying to push players to play through injury way, but just very old school, very kind of quiet, reserved. And I thought that by the way that the Panthers players were talking about Steve Wilks and how they improved when he was promoted. Who was it? Not Matt Nagy. Who's the guy now? He's the coach of Nebraska. Do you guys know who I'm talking about? Whoever was the coach of the Panthers, and then in the middle of the season they fired him on the Panthers and they hired Steve Wilks. Well, the team ended up doing better. So I thought, and everyone said that like Steve Wilks had tons of energy. I know um Sam Darnold and running back, best running back ever, Christian McCaffrey, Jesus. Matt Rule. So Matt Rule was fired from the Panthers. Everyone's saying Matt Rule, Matt Rule. Yes, sorry. I don't know why I had Matt Nagy on the brain. I knew it wasn't Matt Nagy. I just couldn't think of his name. But when he was let go from the Panthers, Steve Wilks took over and they started having the most success that they've had on the Panthers, even though they traded away Christian McCaffrey, some of their best players. The guy that ended up going to the Bears. So they traded away some of their best players, and there's like zero talent on the Panthers, anyways. So they took away the very, very little talent that they did have. And then under Steve Wilks, they saw an improvement. And so when the 49ers were choosing between Steve Wilks and Vic Fangio, I, as just like a observer, knowing Kyle Shanahan is more of a reserved coach, I thought that Steve Wilks was going to be that more energetic guy. Unfortunately, when he came here, not that he's not energetic at all, but definitely nothing close to a Robert Saleh or D'Amico Ryans. Now, I will say in the press conference that Kyle Shanahan did today, he said that energy was not a reason that Steve Wilks was let go, and it won't be something he's looking for in the next head coach, or not in the next head coach, in the next defensive coordinator. I think that's a problem. I think you have to look for someone who can like relate to the players. I think if I'm saying what is the like where did it go wrong with Steve Wilks? I think it's player buy-in, and whether that's because right away Kyle Shanahan was undermining him, or because he didn't have that energy that the players feed off of and needed that they're used to from guys like Robert Saleh and then D'Amico Ryans. I don't know, but I definitely think that that should be something that Kyle Shanahan keeps in mind when he's looking for the next guy, is someone to balance Kyle out. You need some balance on your team. You need some sort of positivity, or even if it's not like, honestly, just like passion. Like, because sometimes Robert Saleh and D'Amico Ryans would be on the field like swearing guys out, like freaking out. But at least he's like passionate. And then like immediately, if a negative play did happen, and then it was like the next time that they were on, they got a 3 and out or something. He was like a goldfish, like able to bounce off of it and be like, "Whoa!" Like his celebration was bigger, or like just as big, if not bigger, than his demonstrative kind of like negative energy. And I think Kyle can be, and I'm not saying Kyle's a bad coach, but I think Kyle leans more negative. I remember he was saying, even when he was buying a house with his wife, he made his wife cry because they were looking through houses and Kyle Shanahan would just start pointing out everything wrong with the houses. And so his wife was like, "Oh, you hate this house. Like, this is the house I loved." And Kyle was like, "Oh, no, I want to buy the house. Like, I love it. Why would you think I hate it?" And she was like, "All you did was tear it apart." And he was like, "Oh, that's just how my brain works. Like, I was just thinking of the problems and like how we would fix them. Doesn't mean I don't like it." And so I think that that can be really taxing on players, and you need to have that positive force. Al Bundy says, vanilla defense. I agree. I mean, I think that they can find, I think they're, even though I'm kind of like, I'm standing up for Steve Wilks in the way that I don't think that the Bowl loss was on him, but I'm not against the 49ers letting him go. I just think that the timing is kind of weird because I think they are trying to make it feel like he was responsible for that. But I think letting him go is totally fine. I think there was multiple games where it felt like, remember that when Kirk Cousins freaking looked like the best quarterback in the entire league? It felt like the Vikings knew every single play that Steve Wilks was going to play. Same thing with Joe Burrow. Like they were those that during that streak, it felt like there was just zero disguise. They Nick Bosa, for whatever reason, had a terrible year this year. Maybe it was because of his contract and not being able to prepare in the offseason like he normally would. But I think that there was things that Steve Wilks should have been able to do to open up his star player to get more sacks that he couldn't do. I know that they did turn, I'm happy that they turned around in the Super Bowl, but if your defense is having effort issues, if you see people jogging and giving up touchdowns when they're making freaking hundreds of $1 million, oh, thousands of millions, whatever, millions of dollars. Um, and you can't get them to play hard in the NFC Championship game. Like, I agree. I'm not surprised that he was let go. Like I said, I think it could have even been a mutual decision. I think it just wasn't working. I just also don't blame him like for the Super Bowl particularly. Kyle Montour says Kyle calling a timeout in overtime to stop momentum was huge as well. He knew Steve Wilks was calling not hard to see. Bad defense, not hard to see. I agree. When he was doing that, my dad was like, "Why are they calling a zero blitz? Holy shit, holy shit. I hate this guy. You should fire him." I was like, "Dad, I'm not the head coach, but I'm so glad that you're texting me and you think I have that power." I'm just kidding. My dad might be like in the comments right now. So I'm kind of making a joke, but I agree. There was, even though I don't think it was all on him, and holding Patrick Mahomes to 19 and then 25 is commendable. I do think that he didn't like, I think that they can get better. I'm just saying I don't think it was all on him, but I definitely think they can get better. They went from number 1 against the run to 26 this year. Yeah, they got bad against the run this year. And especially they got Hargrave, who was supposed to be, I guess he was supposed to be better in the past, but still, I mean, Kinlaw was healthy the entire year, and Kinlaw is like a big run stuffing guy. Like, he's not very good in pass protection. I mean, in pass pro, but like, I don't know. I just think, I think you're right. I think you're right. It was a huge shame that they got worse, especially against the run when this is a team that's supposed to pride themselves on physicality. Missed tackles were a huge problem this year too. I don't have the stats for that, but with our linebackers being all pro, I mean, I know Dre Greenlaw, my prayers go up to him, but he's injured now. But an amazing tackler, Fred Warner, is supposed to, be the number one. Someone says Kinlaw equals bust. Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think they're keeping him around. We did improve on the back end, but overall, the defense was lackluster most of the year. I agree. And I think the issue is this team is not built to, like, Steve Wilks having his specialty be in the backfield was already a disadvantage because they care less about their backfield than they do about their front four and their front seven. They want that's where the money is. They want those guys to be the prominent part of their team. Um, Defense was perfect. Fire Kyle Shanahan. I mean, I don't think defense was perfect. Run defense. Think again, big guy. Yeah, I think that this guy is saying that the run defense was not perfect. I agree. Run defense was not perfect. Defense did struggle. Um, this is my dad. I told you he was very upset about this. Zero cover zero is another word for prevent defense, meaning you prevent you from winning. My dad hates prevent defense. Every time they're like 10 yards off the ball, he's like, they're just going to walk down the field. They're just going to walk down the field. Why would you let them do this? Why would you let them do this? Looks like Steve Wilks is being used as a scapegoat. I agree. I don't think that firing him was wrong. I think that the fact that they hired him so soon, a day after, kind of like when they were questioned about it, Kyle Shanahan wouldn't give any sort of like faith. I think he knew probably then that he was leaning towards firing him, but maybe wasn't 100% sure. Imagine if you went into your boss, like end of the year review for you, and you're like, and someone was like, oh, or like for me, oh, are you gonna keep Ashley around? And they were like, um, we'll have to review her. We'll have to review how she did. I don't know. I'd be scared. I'd be scared. I'd be like, I would hope that I did a good enough job that your initial reaction is like, yeah, we really want her back. She's really good. If that's not your reaction, then that's scary. I wanted to bring up, did you guys hear about the problem at the KC parade? I will say I saw it right before I went live. I didn't see it, but I like saw it trending on Twitter. I don't know enough about it to speak on it. Really, really, really sad times in America. It's sad, parents are scared to let their kids go to school, scared to go to concerts, scared to go to probably football games, any sort of big events. Really, really sucks that humanity is like that. People need a lot of help. I don't want to touch on this too much. I also don't know how much I can talk about it on YouTube, because I know a lot of these words and stuff are like can get your channel banned. But my heart goes out to anyone who was affected. I don't even know like if someone actually passed away or if there was just like a sighting. I don't have enough information to talk on this, but horribly terrible, very, very scary. So much bigger than football. I really, really hope that everyone's okay. And if they're not okay, I pray for their families. Todd says, didn't have to accept the job. I agree, but I mean, let's be honest, black coaches in the NFL don't get a ton of opportunity. I think this year was the most people of color that were ever hired. I think Steve Wilks was unfairly kind of let go of that Panthers job. He did a really good job there. If you think about the Raiders last year, I know this year they kept their assistant coach, but last year they let their assistant coach go. I don't think it's that easy to say like, oh, well, just didn't have to accept the job. Coaching an opportunity to coach defense on this 49ers team with these stars, this team that is constantly in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl hunt, had a top 5 defense for 4 years before him. I don't think, you know, have you guys ever lied on your resume to get a better job than maybe you're qualified for? And your belief in yourself is just like, if they hire me, if they give me a chance, like I believe that I'm gonna learn on the job. I'm gonna figure it out. Like anything that I don't feel completely qualified for, I'm gonna put 120% effort in, and I'm gonna show up because like this is such a good opportunity. There's no way I can pass it up. That's kind of how I feel about saying like didn't have to accept the job. It's like, yeah, like I don't know, I couldn't be Britney Spears' touring manager. I know nothing about touring, but if like someone came up to me and was like, "Want to be Britney Spears' touring manager?" I wouldn't be like, "No, I think there's probably better people." I'd be like, "Yep, I can do it. I'll figure it out." You know? And that's kind of like how I feel like that's the energy he had. Like week 5, whenever that press conference was, he admitted he was like, "I'm learning on the job. Like I'm trying my hardest." I'm not saying not saying it would work out. It always works out right, but there is something that goes into you have to have faith in yourself and you want to take advantage of these opportunities because coaches don't always get like he might not have an opportunity to like how players like to come to the 49ers because then they can go like Aziz Al-Shaair did this. Who's the guy? He's in Jacksonville now. There's been plenty of linebackers that have came and they'll be the third linebacker. And then they end up getting way better deals somewhere else, like long-term deals because they had like a prove it year here. So Steve Wilks could have thought like, hey, if I'm a good coach for the 49ers for 1 to 2 years and I keep up the defense success that they've already had, the other 2 guys are now head coaches. Robert Saleh and D'Amico Ryans are both head coaches. This might be my opportunity to be a head coach again. So he's not going to like turn down that opportunity. Uh Ram Ramon? Ramon. Dude, why can't I pronounce anything? Like why did I decide to be a podcaster when I can't pronounce anything? This guy, I'm so sorry for not being able to pronounce your name, said it was a accumulation of a lot of things not related to Super Bowl. I kind of agree. I feel like I said that in within my how I why I feel like he was let go. If the defense wasn't totally prepared, then the offense was not prepared as well. I didn't think that. I mean, I think players admitted that they were not prepared at all. Bosa not giving the Bosa not getting the job done to begin with. Yeah, Nick Bosa struggled. You're right, regardless of Steve Wilks. But I mean, as a defensive coordinator, if your star player is struggling, it's on you to help him, right? Like I kind of blame Kyle Shanahan. Like Debo Samuel has been struggling. Like Kyle, you know that Debo's not a wide receiver that wins one-on-one routes. Like he's not a good route runner. You know that what you need to do is scheme him open. So part of that blame is on Debo. Like Debo, be a freaking better route runner. What are you doing? But then also like know your personnel. Know what type of things you need to do to make them be successful. So if I blame Kyle Shanahan for not giving better opportunity for, to get Brandon Ayuk the ball, better opportunity to get Debo the ball in open space, to get George Kittle the ball in open space, I blame Kyle Shanahan for those things as much or more than I do the players. So I feel the same way about Steve Wilks. Like Nick Bosa, yeah, fucking don't screw off and not that he was screwing off, I'm sure he was training, but he himself admitted that he didn't train as much as he normally would have with his contract stuff going on. So yeah, Nick Bosa, like this is your fault, but also Steve Wilks, if you see your star players struggling, start trying to do different, like whatever you're doing isn't working, try to switch it up to get him free opportunities to rush the quarterback. Um, Maybe this game was just the last straw. I think all these things are right. I think it was accumulation of stuff. I don't think it was solely on the Super Bowl.